Hello everyone, this is Mr. Peak. This is video 5 of Python programming, and in this video we'll be looking at functions and how we use them in Python programming. So there are various reasons we use functions in Python, and one of the main reasons is efficiency. So if we take a look at the code that's on the screen at the moment, what we're doing is we're printing hello, we're asking the user their name, and then we're just printing their name. So whatever the user enters, we're printing that value onto the screen. We are then repeating this code 5 times. So if we were to run this program, it would ask the user their name 5 times and print it out 5 times. However, as you can imagine, this might take a fair amount of time to write. And if you wanted to maybe ask the user this question 10, 20, 30 times, you're going to end up with hundreds of lines of code just to accomplish that simple task. So this is where functions will come in to make it a little bit easier for us to do something like this a lot quicker. So like I said, we're going to be looking at functions. So what are functions? Well, these are lines of reusable code that can be called or reused at any point in the program without having to type out the lines of code again. So it's like a list of commands that run when a command word is used. So it's like if I came up to you and asked you, when I say the word jump, you jump up and down 5 times. Well, my command word is jump, and then you follow the instructions contained within that command word to jump up and down 5 times. So let's take a look at how we actually make a function in Python to make our lives easier as programmers. Well, when we give instructions, we have to define what they are. We do the same in Python. So like I said where I gave you the instruction to jump up and down 5 times, I gave you a code word, jump. Well, we need to give Python a code word that it's going to use. So what we use is def, and then we can choose whatever code name we want. So since I'm asking for the user's name, I've just called this function username, just so it makes sense for the code that's contained within the function. Def is just short for define. So this means that we're just defining the function that we're going to be using. The second thing is adding our commands, so adding our instructions to this code word. So like I asked you to jump up and down 5 times, we're now going to tell Python what to do when we use that command word. So I've just used the same code as we had on the first slide. So I've used print hello, name equals input, and then I've printed the user's name. So we've added our commands to the code word. So let's have a look at this in Creative Code and see what happens. So I'll switch over to Create with Code, and you can see that I've got my blank file where I'm going to start coding. So the first thing we need to do is def, so define our function. And then I'm going to give it the same name that I used in my PowerPoint, username, and you can see it's turned this nice blue colour. This means that Python is recognizing it as a function. And then we need to end with our brackets, and then a colon at the end. So now I can start typing my commands. So I'm going to do the same thing. So print hello, then name equals input, what is your name, and then print name. So these are my list of commands. So let's have a go at running this and see what happens. So we've given a command name and we've associated some instructions with that command. So let's try running this program. Well, at the moment, nothing's happened. What we now need to do is use that command word. So I've given Python a command word and some instructions to do when I use it. Well, now I need to use that command word. So what I need to do, if I hop back over to the PowerPoint, is just use that command word. So we just use our function name, which is username. We type that into Python, and Python will register the instruction and complete the task. So let's hop back over to Create with Code and see that in action. So username underscore, brackets, and then we need to click run. So we can see now that it's printed our hello, which was our first command, and now it's asking our name. So we can enter our name and press OK. So when I press OK, we should print name. So here we can see it's printed my name, which was Mr. Peak. So we use functions to shorten the amount of code we have to write, because all we need to do if we want to repeat this section of code again is call username again. So as previously, where I wanted to ask the user the name 5 times, I would just call this function 5 times. So when I click run, I'll go through this process again, and you can see it is repeating the code again, so it's saying hello, what is your name? So I'll do it again, and it's doing it again, and then let's just do it till the end. So we can see here it has run this code 5 times. So it's run this code every single time that I've asked it to. So if we look back onto the presentation for a moment, we can see here that the amount of code I would have had to write to do this 5 times is significantly longer than the amount of code I actually had to write in Python to do the same thing. So functions are a really important tool when we're looking at creating an efficient program that saves us time when we're trying to write it, because it's just a reusable section of code that saves us time when we're making bigger programs, where we want to reuse a lot of code over and over again, and we don't want to type the same thing out. Okay, so what I want you to do now is have a go at creating your own function. So I've given you the code for my username, or first name as it's called there, little function where it asks the user for their name. I want you to create a little function that asks the user for their first and second name, and then prints this to the screen. So at the moment I'm only printing the user's first name. I want you to add to this function so it also prints the user's second name, so we can create a username, kind of like we use in school with your initials. But I need the computer to print 5 usernames, so you need to make sure that the program runs this code 5 times. So if you're confused or you're not quite sure of how to do that, you can just scroll back a little bit in the video and I'll guide you through that again. But for now, could you pause the video please and have a go at this task?